Hi, my name is Deirdre Chance and I am presenting for Group 5, and the key point that I'm presenting on is the inclusion of spirituality in multicultural counseling therapy, or MCT. Sue, Neville, and Smith in their 2022 textbook, Multicultural Counseling, quote studies that demonstrate the positive, efficacious relationship between spirituality and health. For example, higher levels of spirituality have been associated with lower disease risk, fewer physical health symptoms, and higher mental health functioning. In addition, a 2015 study published by Kugelmass and Garcia found that non-religious adolescents on average were shown to have higher rates of mental disorder than adolescents who identify as religious. And then finally, Tabak and Weissman-Damani in a 2011 study demonstrated that religion's provision of meaning-making frameworks related to greater mental health and remission from depression of medical patients. This same study associated positive coping with adverse events for people who found social comfort in religious practices. The American Counseling Association, or the ACA's Code of Ethic, recommends incorporating a client's spiritual community into therapeutic practices as well. This is stated in Standard A.1.D. Specifically, it states, counselors recognize that support networks hold various meanings in the lives of clients and consider enlisting the support, understanding, and involvement of others, for example, religious, spiritual, and community leaders, among others, as positive resources when appropriate with client consent. The ACA Code of Ethic also states that the primary responsibility of counselors is to respect the dignity and promote the welfare of clients in their very first standard, A.1.A, of the very first section. When we synthesize all of these factors together, we can form and practice MCT that is competent and robust. To be culturally competent as we practice MCT, we recognize spirituality as an important and legitimate aspect of the client's lived experience, and so we incorporate that into their counseling. As we do this, we are genuinely and authentically intertwining both the above standards into our MCT practice. And at the same time, we're also including the biblical mandate to treat all humans with respect and dignity. Genesis 1:26-28 tells us that humans were created in the image of God. Thus, all humans, because they're created by God, are created to be His image bearers. As we follow the first standard of the ACA, we're also following biblical principles described in the very first chapter of Genesis. The New Testament, Matthew 22-37, also connects this principle of honoring God as we see the dignity of other humans, as Matthew 22, verses 37-40, calls Christians to love God and to love others as themselves. Along very similar lines, the American Association of Christian Counselors, or the AACC, Code of Ethic mandates Christian counselors to affirm the worth and value of all clients as humans. In the section on cultural regard in Christian counseling, Standard 1-510 specifically states, affirming the worth and value of others, Christian counselors recognize and acknowledge that all people have been created in the image of a holy God, and therefore all clients have an innate right to be valued and respected, to receive ethical care, and to be treated with the utmost dignity. The AACC expands on including spirituality and the dignity of the client even more in Standard 1-530 of the same section I stated above. Standard 1-530 is in regards to working with persons of different faiths, religions, and values. Counselors work to understand the client's belief system, always maintain respect for the client, and strive to understand when faith and value issues are important to the client. The standard then goes on to say, counselors share their own faith orientation only as a function of legitimate self-disclosure and when appropriate to client need, always maintaining a posture of humility. Christian counselors do not withhold services to anyone of a different race, ethnic group, faith, religion, denomination, or value system. Again, all of that is from the AACC's Standard 1-530. Furthermore, as a Christian counselor, our aim is not to impose our Christian faith on others. However, we recognize that they may be exposed to our faith as we live genuinely and authentically in the counseling sphere. This is further supported in the AACC standard of 1-530 subpart A. In summary, to be an ethical and culturally competent counselor is to include spirituality in MCT. We do this with respect for the client, seeking their welfare, and with a sincere desire to understand their lived experience of spirituality. Thank you. And then my references for this can be found as follows.